Okay, welcome everyone to the Kiali Sprint 54 summary and demos today, March 26. So as usual, we are going to have a demo section in the first 20-25 minutes, and after that, we will have a Q sessions for all the users that would like to join, but not recorded. So it will be more for easy for people. Okay, so welcome. So yes, updates. Under this month, we have the IstioCon conference focused on Istio, but next month in May 4, there will be another conference focused on Service Mesh, Service Mesh.com Europe, CNCF conference. So there are several players from this technology in that, and we also do to give some session talking about how to use service mesh using Kiali specifically. So, okay, so again, so thank you a lot for all the users, for all the feedback that you are giving us in bug fixes, in terms of feedback about new features, new ideas, or problem that you may have that is helping us a lot to drive our priorities and to feel these discussions in bugs to work on. As a result, in this sprint 54, so just to give you an idea, so we had more than 50 pull requests merged, a lot of bug fixing from feedback from the community, and more than 30 big issues resolved, right? Yeah, we are going to have some highlights about the nice feature that you can see on this screen. So I'm going to stop sharing to let my colleague Xavi to comment this one. Xavi, would you like to share your screen?
Yes. Okay. Okay. Do you see my screen now? Okay. I don't know if I lost you. Can you confirm you can see my screen, please?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right. So one of the first things I'd like to introduce is a new scenario covering. As you know, Kiali takes care of both parts of the service mesh. One is the control plane, and the other one is the data plane, right? So regarding to the control plane, what we have is the component status tooltip in the masthead in the upper part of the console, where we can what we do is telling you how the main control plane components are doing. One scenario we've introduced is what happens if you downscale on purpose one of the components, for example, the Istio egress, right? So here is an example. What we have is if we go to the workloads and we go to the Istio system, what we see is that we already covered this scenario as not ready for the health of workload, which is in this case is the Istio egress, right? So here what we have is now we covered this scenario. Previously we didn't check, and now we check and we see that it's not ready. This is kind of a small, but we think it's a good way to give visibility of the control plane. The second one, it's like we revisit one feature about the logs, the MTLS in the graph. What happened was that we took a decision that when we enabled, for example here, when we enabled MTLS at mesh level in the strictly manner, we decided not to show any log in the sorry, let me go here, any log in the graph unless the edge was not using MTLS, because by default is using MTLS, right? So it would be a little bit crowded. But we found that it was a little bit misunderstood, and it wasn't unexpected, and from UX UI point of view wasn't that good. So now what we have is that it is easy logic. It's like if the edge has MTLS, then you will see a lock in here, right? So if we check through this feature, the MTLS edges, what you see is that it match everything, right? This one doesn't use MTLS, so it doesn't have any lock here. So it's keeping it simple to understand what happened in your data plane in this case. And the second one, it's a small improvement on our support on the Canary upgrades installation. So for example, we've detected that if you already had in production or whatever in your cluster one version of Istio, there's this way to upgrade Istio version, which is the Canary upgrades, which for amount of time you have 2 control planes installed, so you can gradually move the data plane or the diverse pieces of the data plane of your applications from one Istio to another. We've detected that this wasn't covered well enough, so now we are covering this scenario, because now, for example, this is running with not application, sorry, it's in the workloads. And here what you have is the now Istio deployment. It's following the naming from the upgrades using Istio v1.31. So this is this can be tuned by an extra CRT settings, which you can find under the external services Istio. There's this new config Istio deployment name, which you can allow put. By default, it's Istio D, where is the plain installation, or you might change it to the installation one. Also, there's this config map name because Canary upgrades are using a different name to make clear which config map or which deployment goes to which installation of Istio, right? So yeah, mostly that's from my side, those 3 points that I wanted to touch. Back to you, Lucas.
Okay, thank you, Xavi, for the updates. Let me to share in the presentation. Yeah, continue with improvements and new feature that you are going to see on this sprint. So as you know, Kiali, one of the main features of Kiali is to collect all the signals that the sidecar is getting from the telemetry, also for tracing, and try to show you that in a way that is easy to correlate and to overlap. So one of the big features is, that in the graph that is built from the telemetry, you can also to select a specific trace that you have in your application and view them all together. So, and now in this sprint, what we did is to improve the navigation between the trace into the trace details, and also from a specific span where you are focused, right? That you can also to jump to the specific span into the details of the application, the service that you are looking for. That is going to tell you that specific span, what is its relation compared with the telemetry information that is getting. What is the goal? To tell you if a specific trace or span is slow or is good or is not good, depending on the context of the telemetry that you are collecting, right? So that is improving, and you will see this change in this version. Okay, other feature that we are working on is to make easier to create the Istio config. So in these versions, we improved the way to create single Istio resources. As you know, under the service wizards, you can generate Istio config from scenarios, high-level scenarios, like request routing, fault injection, traffic shifting, or request timeouts. So Kiali is going to generate all the Istio config that you need. So virtual services, destination rules, peer requests or gateways, right? But also it's possible that you can create or generate other Istio resources that probably are more independent from a service, like security resources or gateway to service entry. So those are now included in a more clear way compared with the previous version. So we improve the usability in previous versions. So under the Istio config, you tell Kiali to create a new Istio config and select the object. So now it's a little bit more obvious. And from the first step, you can click on the actions drop down and select which is the resource that you want to create. Okay, so another fix that is relevant because was reported by several users was about when I creating or I generating gateways, but I want to set up a specific HTTPS or TLS configuration. So that was something that we have back that we couldn't allow from the Kiali create these resources. So now it's improved. And now when I'm adding a secure port that may have TLS mode with additional information like the server certificate or the private certificate, now is supported to be generated from Kiali. Also, as well, so another object that we can create on the Istio config is the service entry support, right? So now we can just to go to Istio config to the new object, select the service entry, and create a basic template with where I can choose the location, the resolution, and add the port. So Kiali is going to create the object, and that object can be edited later from the Kiali. Sorry? Okay. Okay, another improvement that we have in these versions is to, when you browse into the graph, you can select one application, one node, service, or workload, and you can drill down and you zoom in and into a focus version to that element, right? When we back to the main graph, when I may have select several namespace, so the animation we will see a return animation to telling you in which was the element that you were focused, right? Another improvement in the multi-cluster scenario. So as you know, this is a quite active area of development. So we are working to support multiple deployments architectures. Right? So right now we also support multi-primary setups, and this way, and this feature is going to tell you that Kiali can detect other control planes in your scenario. And in this case, with these new features, we can detect other Kiali applications that I can connect to a remote Kiali from another cluster. Okay, the graph generation has been improved. So as you know, the Kiali is using a set of signals, all the Istio telemetry, Kubernetes information about the workloads and services, also tracing signals to correlate that info. And as you know, in the Istio telemetry, we have two concepts about the telemetry collected by the source, by the client, and the telemetry reported by the server, by the destination. So Kiali complements and use some algorithm to complement both kind of telemetry, right? And now the way that we show this information in the graph has been improved, capturing red tree scenarios and improving the multi-cluster traffic visualization in case that you have information or you have traffic that is flowing out of your cluster. And also improve the visualization when you have some situation when the client or the server don't have telemetry reported because you have some kind of mirror or you have some kind of circuit breaker scenario, right? Well, we are working on those scenarios and try to improve Kiali to show better. That's the graph representation of this situation. Okay, and other changes more related to infrastructure. So moving a new version of the operator SDK, also moving from using the one of the images of the operator in the base image uses for generating the operator image. Also, more the backend details, development details. So we update to the latest version of Go 1.16, and also more minor fixes about the animation or the information. And okay, and I guess those were the highlights for this version. So now, to make it more comfortable for everyone, I'm going to stop the recording.
Recording has stopped.